gentlemen, welcome to episode 39. Are we on 39? Episode 39, the Kareem Hunt got released by the Chiefs edition of Paperwork Podcast with your boys, Pass, Peach, and Walt. We're not talking fantasy football, but he deserves to be released, but my fantasy season just went down the drain with that release. Pass, you can confirm. The only thing I have going for me is that I've already won the division.
Yeah, I didn't even know you had Kareem Hunt, so...
Yeah, so that's news. That's news. So
it's breaking news.
And as always, I feel like it's always a treat. First off, I'm going to apologize for my voice because I was talking a lot yesterday, and we'll get into that's part of today's episode.
You
and I was
probably
also probably
apologize for your voice every week, Walt.
I do, but I also probably may come as a surprise. I was just yelling at the bar last night, so Peachy can confirm that.
Sheamus and Cesaro?
Yes. Yeah, well, yeah. I wouldn't do that. That's scary. But I even forget. But it's always a special episode because Peachy's here.
Yeah.
Peach, how you doing today, bud?
Pretty good. How are you?
That's a lie. Cause
I'm not too banged up.
Really? You seem exhausted. I'm exhausted.
I thought you were saying the how are you is a lie.
I don't like being up early.
Yeah. Pass, how you doing today?
I'm incredible.
That is wonderful to hear. So, for today's episode, we originally were going to talk about one thing, but yesterday kind of some fun wrestling stuff happened in a way I didn't expect. So we're going to talk about that. So, in Philadelphia, there is the
hold on. I want our listening audience to know that I also do not know this. I know one thing.
Know this.
I know one thing, but I don't know what happened. So I'm learning all this because Peachy and Walton were there, but I was not. So I'm learning all this for the first time.
He's not as dedicated to board games as the rest of us.
No, I slept instead.
That sleep's overrated. You can sleep when you're dead. That's what they say. So we were at PAX Unplugged yesterday. So for those that don't know, Penny Arcade Expo, it's a big kind of like nerd type convention, but this usually related around like video games and stuff like that. PAX East, West, South. I don't know if there's a North.
I did not know that was what PAX stood for.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't. See, I'm
Penny
already
Arcade
learning.
Expo.
I feel like PT this week. I'm learning.
And listen, for those listening, there is very wrestling related stuff in this story, but just setting up some background. So we're at PAX Unplugged, and it's basically a entire tabletop dedicated convention. Really cool if you're into board games. Really fun time. We had an awesome time yesterday, Peach. Right? Like we got there like right when the doors open at 10. I played in a Magic the Gathering tournament. Our buddy also played in a Star Wars X-Wing tournament all day. Different booths, a setup of people trying to sell new games, let you demo new games that they have coming to Kickstarter and all that stuff. So we're walking around the expo floor hall, and I'm standing there looking over, and I see this girl dressed up. Basically, she looks like she's dressed up as Ember Moon. Ember Moon, not Amber Moon. Amber Moon's her sister. Ember Moon, and I'm just like, man, at these events you get a lot of cosplayers. So we saw people dressed up as Clue. I'm looking for Peachy for some response with this. So
Peachy actually knows what's going on here.
Talk over you?
Well, yeah, that's what happens in conversations.
Talk over each other.
But so we saw people dressed up, and so I just I'm like, man, why is someone dressed up as a wrestler, especially Ember Moon, in basically Ember Moon's wrestling attire at PAX Unplugged? I'm like, this is so weird. And then I look up kind of behind her, it's the group of people they're with, just to see if there's anybody else dressed up, and I'm like, that's Cathy Kelley, the chick that used to date Finn Balor and does the WWE social media stuff now and things like that. And I'm like, are WWE people here? And I look over and there's Tyler Breeze. And I'm like, dude, this is awesome. And I go over and nobody's crowding around them or anything like that. So it was actually it looked like they were recording something. They had cameras. There was also a guy, I think his name was Brennan. I think he's an NXT developmental guy. I really don't know. I meant to actually look that up, so I'm going to try to look that up now a little bit. Or Rush Pass, if you can.
How about not now, when I don't know anything about the story? PG is filling in.
Doesn't know anything about the story either.
And
I don't know. I have no clue where Walton's going.
Well, I'm just explaining how we met Tyler I met Tyler Breeze.
Yeah, but that's about the only part of yesterday that I know, because I seen a picture when I woke up.
Well, yeah, so I go and Tyler Breeze is there, and I'm just like, I'm like, hey, man, I just go up, hey, huge fan. And he's like, oh, awesome, man, thanks. You know, that's awesome. Like, what's your name? And he's like asking me. I'm just like, Matt, I just talk. I'm like, yeah, man, it's cool. I'm not trying to go, like, in-depth conversation with him. Just a quick, hey, thanks for doing what you do. Awesome.
Now, hold on. Before you get too far into this. Did you tell him about the podcast?
I did not tell him about the podcast.
So then, B, asking him to be on the podcast obviously was not a part of the conversation. So I was too starstruck at the time to think about asking him to be on the podcast. I know. Listen, Roy,
my mind was.
If you're out there listening, I know how you felt every time Jared's on here and he does not promote your guy's show. I understand it now.
I did promote it to one guy though yesterday, so if it matters for anything.
Was it Tyler Breeze's manager?
No, some guy. It was some guy. But
was it the NXT guy you don't know?
No. There was some guy we were chanting for during the thing. But so I mean, I'm like, hey, can you take a picture? He's like, of course, man. And Peachy, take my photo real fast. And for like the 30-second interaction I had with him, awesome guy, like just really nice. Like I don't know, like I don't think he was like fully like putting on an act just because he looked like they were working during it. But 30-second interaction with him, and it was a very positive experience all around for me. So I was like, this is awesome. Was not expecting to see any wrestlers at the thing. But so this ties into UpUpDownDown was there. And I even read it, like I found out, so I played in the Magic tournament, and I'm talking with one of the guys I was playing with, and our time ran over. He's like, oh yeah, I got to run to a panel at 5:30. I'm like, oh, what panel's at 5:30? I'm just like, I'm looking for something to do for the end of the day. He's like, oh, UpUpDownDown. I'm like, wait, Woods is here? I'm just like, and he's like, yeah. He's like, oh, I'm like, yeah, I didn't know UpUpDownDown was here. He's like, yeah, it's not in the book. I think it was a last-minute edition or something like that. So, yeah, so they did, so UpUpDownDown did a panel with Cathy Kelley moderated it, Tyler Breeze, Ember Moon, and this guy Brennan, which, again, I think he's a performance center guy. So they did about an hour panel talking about tabletop games, and they do on UpUpDownDown a game called, what was it called? Rollout, Peach?
Rollout.
Yeah, a Dungeons and Dragons kind of YouTube series. They did a season 1. It's very similar to shows like Critical Role, if you know, or Peach. Do you know any other ones? Or because I know you.
Yeah, they're all over Twitch now. Like since Critical Role became so popular, everybody's getting in on it.
So it's basically those three, and it's Xavier Woods is in it, and then it's DM'd. There's a dungeon master for the game that basically kind of dictates the story for how the playthrough goes. There's a dungeon master, which I don't know the guy's name, but he was actually at the panel yesterday. So it was very UpUpDownDown centric, not really wrestling related in the sense, other than that it was wrestlers doing it. They were throwing out shirts. Damn, I should have. Yeah, I should. So they threw out one of the UpUpDownDown shirts, and I already had it, and I caught it. But I just gave it, like, the people behind us seemed upset about not getting one, so I just gave it to them.
I'm sure our loyal listeners did not want to win a prize or anything.
Yeah, I didn't think much about that. Listen, man, I was every board game. I know.
You're supposed to be the face of this podcast.
Listen, I'm not the face of anything. Come on now. I can barely be the voice, especially today. But yeah, so that was, and so along with like the wrestlers, so again, Tyler Breeze, awesome interaction, so even like when we met Matt Hardy, like, we only have like those 20 or 30 seconds, but those positive interactions are awesome. Like, even though it's not that long, I think it's just like, it's like, all right, like this guy, he gets it, and it's like, listen, it's shitty for Tyler Breeze because it's like he was so good in NXT, and like when he came up, like the character just didn't connect with the audience like with how it did in NXT.
Right.
And then they kind of rebuilt him up, like him and Fandango as the Fashion Police, which was hilarious. And it just, I like those comedy groups, but it kind of sucks because both him and Fandango are actually really good wrestlers. But it was something, and they took it and ran with it. And, now he's doing a lot of this up-down stuff for Xavier Woods, playing the games. Like, I think he's doing the GM mode with it. Do you watch any of UpUpDownDown, Mike?
No, not at all.
It's pretty good. Like, if you like video games or anything like that, it's kind of the perfect mesh of the shit I like, wrestling and video games.
Right. They're just add one more thing I have to watch.
It's a really cool, one of their cool reoccurring series is called Superstar Save Point, to where it's Xavier Woods and then another wrestler usually, and they just bullshit back and forth playing like an old school video game.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a little more laid back. Like, listen, it's not hard hitting questions or anything like that.
Right.
It's fun, stupid bantering, and what were your favorite video games growing up? Didn't play video games, stuff like that, and then there's a bunch of guys like Corey Graves. One of the episodes, it wasn't a Superstar Save Point, but Xavier Woods had a VR headset, and Corey Graves was just like walking by as Xavier Woods was recording and just jumped in and started playing with the VR headset. And it was just really cool because it's like I guess that like that's the way the backstage environment kind of is now.
Right.
Compared to what it was like in the Attitude days and things like that. They just play video games now. I think I remember Jericho saying before or something like that it's a completely different backstage environment because like he couldn't find anybody to go out to have a beer with after a show because like everyone kind of like keeps to themselves and just goes back to their room and all that stuff instead of going out and partying.
Right.
Like, the Attitude days. So I think it's great because one, it keeps these guys out of trouble.
Yeah.
Because you really, the small things that get sent out of, wrestlers' personal lives, them not going out there, and it's video games. So I'm like, yeah, this is great. So UpUpDownDown is great. It's definitely worth the YouTube subscription because it's free. They release like daily content and stuff like that. So, and there's also a shot like they were filming the panel and all the interactions. So like me and Peachy might be in the background of one of the shots.
You probably will be.
But we kind of alluded to it earlier. Like right when we got into the panel, this guy got on stage to kind of introduce Cathy Kelley, who was going to be the moderator for the panel. And he just opens the thing up. He's like, yeah, I'm just some guy you don't care about. And the entire room just started chanting some guy. And we did it the entire hour panel. Like every time.
Tyler Breeze really liked that.
Yeah, he was laughing. I don't know if it was like a PAX guy or like a producer for UpUpDownDown or something like that. But they went like crazy over it. It was pretty funny. It was unexpected too. It was... So, but yeah, they talked all kind of tabletop stuff, mostly D&D. Ember Moon is, I guess, a very big D&D player. I think she said she plays every Wednesday. She's been playing for like the last 10 years. I personally have not played D&D yet. Peachy, I know you have. So some of the references she was making, while I understood, I didn't fully grasp just because I hadn't played that game yet. So, what was your thoughts of it, Peachy? Like with the whole,
I was actually wondering if like WWE had anything to do with the UpUpDownDown. Like I know Xavier Woods like runs it and he uses his real name, but like, is it like I guess they're connected with producers and whatnot that make it easier and they have a higher production value than just like some guy.
Well, I think the way it works is like it was definitely started by Woods, but it has the blessing of WWE because you buy the UpUpDownDown shirts and stuff off WWE's website. WWE actively posted it. I remember, I think we even talked about it briefly on here, is when during E3, I think it was E3 this past year, they did a Street Fighter tournament, the New Day versus the Elite, Omega and the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
And you had that WWE article that, like, it was throwing everything, like, it was mentioning Omega's One-Winged Angel, V-Trigger, all that stuff. And it was so refreshing to see WWE cross-promoting with outside wrestling brands. And, like, yes, it was even just because it was on a video game level, it was something. And I think, like, that, like, I think Xavier Woods was crying, like, at the end of it, because he was just so, like, just happy with how it got promoted and things like that. But it started off as Xavier Woods, like, baby, and it evolved, it got traction, and then WWE just got behind it. And they're letting him run it, I think, how he wants to, and not having, like, a full control over it. Because WWE just did a crossover with League of Legends. It was the WWE main roster versus the NXT roster in League of Legends.
Yeah,
both teams were trained by a League of Legends player. I don't know that scene that well, so I had no idea who these guys were.
They had like YouTube, like didn't
It was League of Legends.
That's right. It was a YouTube star too. Like, wasn't PewDiePie? I think was one of them.
PewDiePie wasn't one of them.
Wasn't I? Pretty sure.
I don't, not at least on the WWE one.
Neither I know. Where Dakota Kai killed Seth Rollins a bunch of times.
Huh?
I seen highlights of it. Dakota Kai killed Seth Rollins a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm almost positive, unless I'm talking about two separate videos.
Because I don't think PewDiePie actually plays League of Legends.
Yeah, I thought they just said with YouTube stars, to be honest with you. But
yeah, it might be YouTube Twitch stars or something like that.
Yeah.
But nope, I don't want that. Nope, stop that. There we go. Sorry, I'm on YouTube trying to find this information. Tyler 1 was the one coach, and I'm a QT Pie.
Oh, okay.
Was the guy's name.
I didn't see it, really. I heard them say the name, and all I heard was T-Pie, so I thought it was PewDiePie.
Yeah, so, like, the NXT team was Adam Cole, Dakota Kai, Shayna Baszler, and Johnny Gargano. WWE team was Cesaro, Ruby Riott, Tyler Breeze, and Seth Rollins. But that's where you do have, like, a legitimate tie-in. Like, it was on WWE TV, promoted by WWE heavily, and because I think the challenge was even made, like, in a NXT ring. To where they came out. They didn't fight. They fought in the League of Legends arena, which I think is in California. But, so WWE is just backing it completely. Because there's nothing bad about it. They're letting all the wrestlers on it. I'm sure they're not funding. Like, I'm sure for yesterday, when they were in Philly, WWE didn't pay for their flights to PAX Unplugged. That probably came from the UpUpDownDown budget. So then that's a whole kind of separate thing.
Does WWE have any other, like, YouTube type things that they do?
Well, let's talk about the original one. And Mike, do you know which one I'm talking about?
You talking about Zack Ryder?
What was it? Long Island IZ? Or True Story, I'm a Long Island IZ. So Zack Ryder, I forget the name of it is, and I feel bad because I should know that since
you should.
I love this.
Fake ass fan.
Huh?
You're a fake ass fan.
I am. I don't promote the podcast. I'm a fake ass fan. Unbelievable. But that one was really good because that was the first one. Like, so Zack Ryder basically did at the very start of social media. Jumped on the train of doing a weekly YouTube series because he wasn't getting promoted on WWE's main TV shows, so he just started doing it himself. And he made a lot of funny insider wrestling things. Like, one of the videos of him is trying to climb a fence, and everyone's like, "Zach, what are you doing? What are you doing?" "I'm trying to get over." Trying to get over. And shit like that, and it was hilarious. Like, John Morrison was on it all the time. He then dubbed himself the Internet Champion, and had his Internet Championship belt, which just basically had like all of the different social media platforms on as like the belt plates, and it was like Zack Ryder's hair. But Zack Ryder took that and got himself over because that's got him his U.S. Championship. When everyone was put like on that one, you had Ziggler versus Ryder. They were trying to push that for WrestleMania 29 or something like that, and they even made stickers because I remember I got one. I don't know where it's at anymore. But if you watch WrestleMania 29, you see on Ziggler's jacket, there's like a yin-yang symbol, but it's Zack Ryder's symbol and Dolph Ziggler's symbol in the yin-yang. And that whole feud started basically on True Island, Long Island Story. So yeah, you do have, like, that was kind of the main one to start it. And then WWE kind of put the brakes on it for whatever reason, and just like fucked up Zack Ryder completely.
Those bastards.
What'd you say?
I said those bastards.
Yeah, I know, it's shit. Because it was funny, and because I still remember when he won the U.S. title. We were there when he won the IC title. And again, one of my personal favorite Funko Pops that I now own was a New York Comic-Con exclusive of Zack Ryder, the gear he wore at WrestleMania 32 when he won it. And I bought it online, but I was just like, I was there for that, and I watched him win the title and then lose it the fucking next night. That's a whole other thing. You can listen to our WrestleMania 32 episode for that.
Yeah. Please listen to it. Nobody else has.
Nah, people have.
I'm kidding. Yeah. It's the Survivor Series predictions that we sent out the day of.
Yeah, well, listen, a lot of confusion in that one. So,
do you think all this like like all these WWE people are performers, like in some way, shape, form? Do you think like this outside stuff helps them, or like as performers, like storytelling and?
Well, what do you mean outside stuff? Like
with like this YouTube stuff, with like him making comedy like skits and then them playing D&D, like
I'm sure it helps them in the sense that if he were to ever get fired, he has something else to kind of back up on a little bit. Like I want to say, like you said, Dolph Ziggler was on episodes of that. Well,
of Z True Island Story, not on.
Yeah.
He was.
But what I was gonna say, and I'm sure neither one of you watch it, but you know those the Real World Road Rules challenge things that still go on today. I
watched the season finale of this season like last week.
Really? Well, they have a reunion show, and Dolph Ziggler is the host of the reunion show.
Yeah.
So, like, they try to. I think they try to get appearances like that in whenever they can, because the moment he's done wrestling, if he's got some experience hosting things and stuff like that, they could just move on. So I'm sure Xavier Woods. I'm sure that's a little bit in the back of his mind, you know, doing that, and probably Zack Ryder too, to a certain extent.
Yeah, but I mean, like, of course it's going to help them. It's like it's more publicity. So like, Xavier Woods is doing a video game channel. So at first, the only people that are going to watch it are WWE fans, and then you have the WWE guy. Hey, this wrestler's watching this. Like, you want to watch him stream this video game or something like that, and then it crosses into the video game realm. And then video game fans that might not be wrestling fans might start watching it because, Xavier Woods, he does Up, Down, Down. I really like that. And all these characters that are on Up, Down, Down, they're all wrestlers, so I like that. I'm going to start watching it. Of course it's good.
Yeah. And now these places that might have been requesting John Cena and Triple H and names that they knew any non-wrestler fan would know is now requesting little old Xavier Woods. You know, and that's that too. I'm sure gets them appearances and stuff that they normally wouldn't.
Honestly, at E3, like E3 is probably a prime example. John Cena, the biggest name in the industry. That's the one everybody wants to get. But E3, it's like, you know what? We want Xavier Woods because he's not going to just, John Cena's John Cena, but the fans of E3 know Xavier Woods.
Yeah.
Like if John Cena was at I was more excited to hear them talk about their D&D show, even though I watched a few minutes of an episode before, just because, again, I haven't played it. I want to start watching, like, Critical Role and stuff like that, but I'll watch kind of this one just because I know these wrestlers. I don't know if I would be as excited to see John Cena at that thing than I would be Tyler Breeze, Ember Moon there, because I know they play board games. John Cena, I think, would probably just, be the face of the company and say, oh, yeah, I play board games. All these board games are great.
Just feel like he was working you.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, they got a little bit like that during the panel yesterday. Like, they were working, but you still, Tyler Breeze would always jump back into the video game aspect of Up, Up, Down, Down, and that's when you can really tell he was being, legitimate. Yeah, legitimate and on point, because you know that about him. John Cena's a car guy. He's not a video game guy. So,
that's like when you were talking earlier about your interaction with Tyler Breeze, saying like, "Oh, they're out there working." And I was like, yes, they're there working, but like it seemed like they were out there having fun.
Yes,
they were out there like the picture you and Tyler has Tyler with a miniature, like
yeah.
They were just looking around and walking around with everybody else, and yeah, they're having all the interactions, but like I think they were legitimately having fun on the floor, and Tyler wound up playing a game for a while.
Yeah. So we'll get into like the game portion of it, because the one thing we did see, or at least I saw, I think Peachy can confirm too, there are a lot of wrestling board games now. Like, that seems like it's like a very niche thing, because there were at least 2 or 3 on top of Book It being there, which we didn't get to see, the Book It game there yet. Listen, the expo hall is fucking huge. Think, anybody listening, think of your standard kind of major city convention center, and the way they break up the halls. This was the entire open space was just used for, half of it was tables for people to play board games. The other half was the actual, expo booths. Like, if you ever been to a Comic-Con or anything like that, basically, that was how it was set up. It was huge. But, yeah, like, they were definitely playing, like, they enjoy it. And, like, that was, like, if I had a chance to ask a question during the panel, I think my question was going to be, has Up, Up, Down, Down become a job for you guys? Because it's basically, they're like, if this isn't a WWE appearance, this is their weekend off. And so they flew out to Philly.
Flew to New York and then had to drive to Philly.
Whatever. Well, no, Cathy Kelley said she did, but I think she lives up in New York because she works in Connecticut at the main office.
Okay.
But but this is their weekend off, so are they doing an appearance because, they have to because they want to make money, or is it because they actually like this? And so that's where it's like, is this a job yet, or is it just still a kind of part-time thing you guys are doing for fun? But yeah, I keep on going back to the point of, like, does it help them? Like, I'm still confused at the question itself.
You should ask, does it hurt them?
Does it hurt?
I think it opens them up more to, like, say something inappropriately on social media, and that could hurt them, WWE. Like,
yeah, you're absolutely
that's
right.
like one of them, like, just scary things. Like, that's what I was asking, if WWE had their hand in it, and it seems like, if they're promoting it and everything, selling their merch, they do.
Yeah, I think it helps. It doesn't hurt them, because, like, Xavier Woods, it doesn't seem like Xavier Woods is looking to go, a Hollywood acting route after wrestling. I'm sure he'll, like, appear in some stuff, things like that, but, like, he's into the video game side of things, and he has his career carved out after he's done wrestling on the video game side. So this is the same thing as John Cena becoming an actor. It's just the path that they want to take kind of post-wrestling career.
I would use John Cena, like, take that with a grain of salt. Him being an actor. The Rock being an actor.
What? I don't...
Like, I don't...
The Rock, like, I think 2016 was the highest grossing actor of the year.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might have been 2017 or something.
I don't know. I never really put them guys like
his movies. His movies make a lot of money.
Right, but the highest grossing.
Yeah, I think he did make more money 1 year more than any other actor.
He was the highest paid actor.
Yeah.
But not highest grossing because his movies are, middle of the line comedies.
Yeah, but he's the highest paid actor.
Money, yeah, he's the highest paid actor, and his movies make money.
His goal is to make money, not to be a good actor.
There's a lot but you could say that about a lot of actors, though. They don't have to just be The Rock and John Cena. There's a lot of people out there that are not good actors, and people like them for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they're good actors. Like, I mean, I go to see their movies.
Like, so, I wouldn't. I will say I love Will Ferrell movies. He's not a good actor, though. He's not somebody. He plays one role and plays it well. But he's not a good actor, if that's what, that's kind of what you're...
Yeah.
I would say The Rock's a better actor than Will Ferrell. I can see The Rock doing multiple roles.
I don't expect The Rock or John Cena to ever, win Best Actor.
Yeah.
But that's not... if that's the only thing you consider an actor, then most
There's
movies
about 5.
Don't have... Yeah. And 3 of them are Daniel Day-Lewis. All right? Let's be real.
He's retired.
Yeah, so there's only going to be 2 actors now in that category of Best Actor. So this is not a debate on Oscar contention.
I didn't make it a debate. You guys did.
Well, John Cena's technically an actor. He's acted in movies. He's starred in movies. It does not matter how much his movies have made.
Did you see, what was it, his movies, Blockers, Peach?
No.
He's good in that.
He was really good in that.
Yeah.
He was hilarious. That's where John Cena is a good actor. He can play those roles that he has to, really well, and he's turning that into his career. But the same way John Cena kind of went from wrestling into acting, Xavier Woods is doing the same thing, except into the video game industry.
We all know there's more money there.
Well, it seems more YouTube, not just video games now.
Well, what does he do on YouTube?
Well, the UpUpDownDown is a video games.
Yeah.
Isn't just video games.
What else is it? Well,
D&D.
That just became the thing, than... Yeah, they're expanding.
Right.
But it's video games. The channel started as a video game channel. That's... So, let's remove the D&D stuff, which is maybe 12 episodes, probably.
Okay.
What else is on there?
I have no clue. I've never seen UpUpDownDown.
Jesus Christ. Oh, God, it's too early in the morning for this.
Pass,
we're probably not getting onto your other topic, just so.
I realized that. We could have transitioned about 10 minutes ago, too. It's funny. Because you mentioned Kenny Omega. Too. But,
yeah.
Now, I'd rather leave that for a whole episode, so we'll branch off this a little bit. That's fine.
That's where, I
think we need a full episode of that. I don't want to rush all that in. So we'll save it and discuss.
Yeah, he's more of a that's the platform, Peach. That's like saying Alex Trebek, he's not a host, he's like a TV guy because his platform's TV. That's literally the comparison that you're making.
No. I was wondering if Xavier Woods is trying to do the Geek and Sundry thing where they just keep adding a little bit of this, and just they're capitalizing on the nerd market.
But isn't that's purely
that's exactly what he's doing.
Even if it's not just games, then it's geek, but it's still it's not YouTube. It's him doing stuff that he enjoys. Obviously, he enjoys the stuff that he's doing. It doesn't seem like he's just picking random shit out of thin air and adding it to it.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
There's if Ember Moon said it yesterday, and this is where I agree with it, and it was from the bit of the episode that I watched. Ember Moon's the main star of that series because she's the main one that knows D&D. So she can speak to everything and plays it really well. Xavier Woods, like you said, he's just expanding the channel. They're dipping their toes in to try. It was all video games, but it's all right, board game is now or tabletop gaming is now a kind of a popular market. We have a 3-day convention for board games this weekend. So, all right, let's try D&D. Ember Moon was on the channel. She, I guess is working really well with it, and she threw out the idea, and he's like, yeah, you kind of run with this. You help us set this up. They're dipping their toes in on it. It seemed to go pretty successful if they're making a season 2. Oh, maybe that can be our announcement. They officially announced yesterday during the panel that they are making a rollout season 2 on UpUpDownDown.
What?
So, yeah, I know. Mic drop. Am I right?
Get caught up on season 1 then.
But yeah, they're just dipping their toes. Like, what did Geek and Sundry start as? Like, did they
Critical Role started off as just a handful of people and some folding chairs and a folding table, and now it has full production set and
but that's not Geek and Sundry. So the comparison here we're making is Geek and Sundry to UpUpDownDown. Those are the enterprises. And Critical Role what started Geek and Sundry, or was there Geek and Sundry and then Critical Role was a playoff?
It was one of the very early things on Geek and Sundry.
Okay, so that answers.
But they made sure they had. I think they were going for 3 or 4 videos a week, and now it's a 24-hour Twitch channel.
So but that's a good example then. So Geek and Sundry started off D&D is tabletop stuff, but then they moved into Magic. Will Wheaton does his tabletop, literally that game. But they don't do that anymore just because it wasn't getting the viewership is what it is. So they're dipping their toes in.
It was purchased by a different company.
Oh, all right.
And Wheaton didn't get along well with whoever, but yeah.
So okay. But they kept on dipping their toes into those different things. UpUpDownDown's doing the same thing. Xavier Woods is a video gamer. I don't think he probably plays board games, just not to a level that he could fully speak on doing a daily YouTube upload series on or something like that.
It's called evolution. All right, they're evolving. By this time next year, we'll probably have segments on this show. Eventually there's going to be something interesting about this show.
Will there be an UpUpDownDown pay-per-view?
You could. Yeah, they do GM mode. Actually, that is one of the cool things they do.
We could have shared a guest with UpUpDownDown if Walton would have just invited Tyler Breeze.
Tyler Breeze. Oh. I was starstruck, man. Prince Pretty was right there. It's a great picture, by the way. Love the picture that I took.
This is why we need shirts or hats or face tattoos.
Face tattoos?
Yeah.
That's an aggressive step up.
Go full Mike Tyson.
It's just apronworkpodcast.com on your forehead. People will ask about it. That's dedication. It's promotion right there, Walt.
I don't know how to
Walt in the face of.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I didn't sign up for that.
No.
Yeah.
We did make you the face of a podcast. So
yeah. So the other thing at the convention was wrestling board games. So we
now were these actual board games, or are they kind of a little bit card centric, like Book It?
It seemed it was very card centric to Book It. So if you haven't listened to it, it's actually, I think it turned out better than I was expecting. Is our interview with Paul LaPorte on Book It. What's that? What was that face?
No, I was gonna say that interview had so many reasons for it to fail, and it didn't. So
yeah, it came out really well, I thought, and Paul was a great guy to come on, talk to us about his game, and is it shipping yet for us, Pass, or
no, not yet. I think they originally got his kind of work sample or whatever, and it wasn't up to his standard, so he had to send it back. And I think now they finally have the way it's going to be, but they expected it, to already be done by now. So it's a little delayed. It sounds like because of the holidays and it being busy, it might not come out until the end of the holidays. But yeah, I'm still looking forward to it.
Yeah, and just as a note with that happens with every Kickstarter.
Yeah.
I bought a Dark Souls board game Kickstarter, I want to say 2 years ago at this point. I have the game. I'm still waiting for my stretch goals to come in, and I thought they were actually supposed to come in this week, but they're not shipping to a wave 3. So stuff like that happens with every Kickstarter.
Yeah, I'm sure the date, and he even explained on there. He said the date was more if everything went perfect.
Yeah,
he even said they gave himself a little bit of time, but it wasn't up to their standards, and he didn't want to send out a half-assed thing.
And listen, with a lot of these games, like a lot of these publishers, especially on Kickstarter, this is the first time they're doing something like that. Like you have IDW does a lot of Kickstarter games. Munchkin, Steven Jackson, his basically all their new releases are Kickstarter, so they have the process down. So there are never any delays, but they have done like 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 or something like that.
Right.
But at the convention there were 3, I think. There was Book It, which was there, which we didn't see. Just again, the expo hall was so huge, we probably missed them or something like that.
Right.
And then there was this other one that was like a super sumo game, or you actually stopped and looked at it more than I did.
Yeah, I'd stopped and like, I think there was actually more. I think there was like 4. Like every year, there's kind of like it seemed like last year was a lot of like racing style games became popular. And now I think like this year was like wrestling style games, and it was all different kinds. It was like actually like just a match where like you're building up to a finisher, and like the way like the video games are played. Like
it was a deck building game, right?
Yeah, well, it was. Yeah, there was one the one that Tyler was playing. Yeah, it was deck building.
Yeah,
and Tyler wants himself to be put in it. But he was yeah, that one was a deck building, but like a free, like you can mix it up. Like you could deck build. It wasn't like prearranged decks.
That's what a deck building game is. You make your own deck, Peach. Well, I'll show you today. I can talk.
There was one where it was like pre-constructed decks.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, so like the super. Like let's talk about the super. What was it? Super Sumo Showdown.
I don't remember.
I think that was the name of it. Again, I quickly walked by it, but you had guys dressed in like luchador mask and shit like that for it. And then there was a guy when we were in line who would basically look like when we were in line waiting for the panel, a Nacho Libre basically cosplay.
Right.
And he had his own game that they were doing.
One night only in Spanish. Noche.
Yes, Solo Unoche.
Solo Noche. Yeah, one night only.
Okay, one night only. And that was a similar deck building game. It's coming to Kickstarter, so like they didn't have a booth there, so he was just kind of walking around in the wrestling centric panel line, giving out promo cards of like a deck building type game. So. But yeah, it was like you were saying, the one, briefly from what you told me, is you basically, you deck build, you work up your cards until you can get your finisher, you hit your finisher and you can win the match, kind of like that way. Kind of like how a video game wrestling match, or even like a real wrestling match kind of goes. So there were at least 2 there, and then the Book It was there, so that's 3 games there. And I was very just surprised by it, because I didn't know this was going to become a thing. Like PG was saying, like last year when we were at it, there was like this one board game that we kept on seeing kind of little glimpses of that was kind of like, this is very niche, but like this looks like it's becoming a thing. Wrestling seems like that thing this year.
Right.
Because again, 3 of them out of a very wide variety of games that look interesting. It all looks deck building. It all doesn't. So if you like, the Book It game seems like a very Cards Against Humanity style game.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say those games, I guess, sound a little bit more, I guess, magic-ish than what Book It is. Where Book It, like you said, Book It's more about Book It's not you against them, and it's not like a match. And that was the one thing Paul had said when he originally developed the game, was there's so many games out there that are wrestler against wrestler, and he wanted to kind of show a different side of it. So.
Yeah, because his was the promoter you're trying to build what your best pay-per-view card is or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, these decks, so that's my only thing. Like, I am not I like them, but I like more deck building games like Magic and the new one Keyforge, which I got all my decks here. So a wrestling deck building game doesn't fully interest me as much. Like, I would want like a board game with like some pieces somehow.
Right. Let's get on it.
Like a cooperative, like you could do a cooperative board game with tag teams and stuff like that.
Apron work the board game. Let's get on it.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It's only about the announcers.
Yeah.
Literally the middle is the picture of the three of us at the announce table.
And Peachy's character only shows up once a month in the game.
That could be one of the cards. Go back 3 spaces. Peachy hasn't shown up again.
Oh, here's another Peach Pit, fucker.
Yeah. Oh, look, Peachy's
lose a turn, again. Another Peach Pit.
Peachy's drunk. Argue for 5 minutes on something stupid.
5 minutes?
In board game time, all right?
All right, let's set up the Kickstarter. I'll start drawing it up.
Yeah, you are. I'll be the face of it, apparently.
Yeah.
So, I'm excited. So we are going back to. So we are recording this on Saturday morning, and so we have the convention this afternoon. We're going to go back to it. So I am going to take a longer look at those wrestling games, probably, maybe today, most likely tomorrow, though. Just because tomorrow is going to be my kind of dedicated day to looking more at the exhibitors. Then, like, today I'm going to try to play Magic again, I think, and there was some talk about X-Wing. I want to play Keyforge. So,
how bad did you lose at Magic yesterday?
I did fairly well for myself, honestly. I played Commander. I had a Dragon deck, a Precon Dragon deck, and I held my own for a very long time. I was it was 5 people. I was the 3rd eliminated. So, didn't get my ass completely kicked.
Yeah, okay.
So, but I was just swinging with powerful dragons in the air, so it was really
5 color.
I was going to say, it was all basically gibberish until you said you were the 3rd one eliminated. I understood that one.
I figured. But yeah, definitely I'm gonna keep an eye out for it. I doubt that the wrestlers are I doubt the wrestlers are there today. I'm assuming they were just there for the panel yesterday. And like I said, they were recording stuff. So I'm assuming this is gonna be, posted on UpUpDownDown probably within like the next week or something like that.
Yeah.
The panel was a good time. It was an unexpected surprise, honestly. Like, like I said, we kind of alluded earlier, we kind of had an idea for a topic this week, and then yesterday happened at the convention. I'm just like, hey, we're changing topics this week, because one, Peachy can speak to it. That's always what we look for in a topic. And 2, positive experience with a wrestler. You can't ask for any more.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And plus, what we were going to talk about today, which I'm sure will be promoted at the end because it's most likely going to be next week's topic. It's not... I mean, we'd be hitting on it when it first kind of came out, but more information will probably come out the next week for us to talk about it a little bit more.
Basically, it's the Elite's wrestling promotion.
I guess we're probably wrapping up now anyway. So I figure we're probably close. Unless you had a whole lot more going on yesterday. But yeah, it's the AEW, the rumored all elite wrestling with the Young Bucks and Cody, and that's what I said when you were talking to Omega earlier. I was going to say it was a perfect opportunity to transition. But yeah, I mean, it sounds interesting. I kind of wanted to touch on, what we thought they could do to obviously compete with the big boys and all that stuff, but we'll get into that more next week. Maybe
this is all about board games this week. Huh? I was going to say this is all about board games this week.
Yeah, but I know one thing. There's a lot, like, they can't talk about a lot because technically they're still under contract. So.
But the best thing to come of all that is the Being the Elite episodes, because those are fucking hilarious. Marty Skrull's trying to throw a New Year's Day party.
I'm going to have to watch some of them leading into next week's episode just to...
Watch watched, what was it, this past week's episode, Cody Rhodes is possessed.
Is that the one where Kaz is Triple H?
Yeah. And Christopher Daniels performs an exorcism on him, and it's fucking hilarious.
It's the one with the hammer, right? Or the sledgehammer, I mean.
Yeah, there's a couple episodes with the sledgehammer.
Yeah, I only see where nobody could lift it, and then Kaz came out in the leather coat.
Yeah, it's that one. So, yeah, I mean, we can continue this by talking board games. Like, I can go through my dragon deck if we want.
You want people to stop listening now.
We can talk about my Keyforge decks. I got 2 decks with the same houses in Keyforge, which is pretty awesome. If you know how Keyforge is set up, then
how do we set the wrap-up music?
Da-da-da-da. No, but yeah, I'm keeping an eye out for Tyler Breeze again today.
Yeah, you never know. There could be somebody. Who knows? You know, it might not be even somebody WWE related. It might see a local, maybe ECW guy or something. You never know. There was another wrestling thing there. It was like on the outside of the convention. It was like, Peach, you remember it was like the heel game or something like that? Like, remember outside the convention hall, like there were a couple tables like across from where like there was like a food vendor. Maybe it was.
Maybe
it was an actual game about heels, like your feet.
No, they had it. Well, one there was actually I guess a group called the Meeple People that they had the NWO logo essentially as their logo, except like TMP instead of NWO for the Meeple People.
Right.
And then there was this heel game or something outside of the convention hall, to where again it heel and it looked like it was in the NWO writing again.
Yeah.
I got to take a look at that again today. But maybe wrestling is becoming more mainstream in the board game culture now.
It makes sense.
I was trying to powerbomb Walton, like, even before we saw the WWE people. And then after we saw the WWE people, I thought that was like a sign just to like, all right, now it's time for a powerbomb, like, but he wouldn't let me.
I would not.
Let him do it today.
Maybe. If you're good.
Like right in the middle of one of them playing a game and just powerbomb. They can't get mad.
No, they cannot. So yeah, I saw that and I thought, like, I was looking for a wrestler possibly like associated with it or something like that. So
right.
They don't do like appearances at these things, like, you know, like at Comic-Con or anything like that, like a person sitting at the table signing autographs.
Well, they have it for like board game creators
the booths, like the individual booths, if they want to have someone, but they don't have it set up like Comic-Con to where you have a very long line, you go up and get an autograph and a picture. But yeah, it's all very, like, again, like, I watched a channel called The Dice Tower, and one of the guys was there, and I was thinking about trying to get a picture taken with him and things like that. But yeah, there might be. So I'm assuming there are some local wrestlers there that I just don't know of.
Yeah.
But hopefully there'll be some, like, cool, famous ones. And I'll try to remember today to drop, you know, hey, you want to come on Apron Work Podcast?
Yeah, you better be dropping it to everybody.
I will do my best today.
Okay.
If we had business cards, this would work a lot better.
Get a napkin and write it.
What, the typical Rest Pass?
Yes, that's my birthday card.
Yeah, I know. Wasn't it your wedding card, too?
Probably.
I think you gave it as a joke.
No, it wasn't a joke. It was serious.
Okay. So. But Peach, overall positive experience with wrestlers at the board game convention. Yes or no? Did you have one?
I didn't talk. I took a picture.
Jesus Christ.
There you go. That's how you finish an episode strong.
Yeah. Peachy comment, lose a turn.
Oh my god. Yeah, I hope you realize I'm actually going to create something. Out of my boredom at work, I'm going to create something.
The possibilities are endless.
They are.
I like how we're going to have a board game before we have t-shirts.
Exactly. We're changing the game.
We are changing the game of podcasting. Carter's scheduling conflict. Wake up at 5 a.m. to record a podcast. Peachy didn't show up at scheduled time.
Whoa.
Halfway through the episode, Raspace's internet goes down again.
Walton's hungover.
Oh, that's just going to be a standard.
You start with that one.
Yeah. You have to fight through. Do you choose the easy mode or the hard mode? Hard mode, you heavily drink the night before, and you show up hungover.
Stop giving away too much of the game. Damn.
Oh, man. So, Raspace, so here's a question for you. All this talk and excitement of just yesterday, are you jealous you're not coming with us to PAX today?
No, I'm more jealous I wasn't there yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, to be completely honest, I wish I could go back in time, but no, I'm perfectly fine with
going to sleep.
Yeah, I have to go. I have somewhere to actually.
Oh yeah, you guys have plans, yeah. So, yes. We'll see if we see any wrestlers. Maybe we'll do a board game convention part 2 if we see any more wrestlers. Today and tomorrow. Yeah, you're probably right. So, Peach, any final thoughts?
No.
Great talking. Raspace, any final thoughts?
Tune in next week for a fun-filled episode, hopefully, or part 2 of this.
Yeah, it's gonna not be part 2 of this. No, but hey, personally, other than thank you for listening to the podcast and all that stuff, but play some board games. Like the convention itself is a blast. Board games are fun. Pick up a wrestling board game. Pick up Book It. I don't think it's going to be that expensive when it comes out.
Yeah,
like $20 or $30.
We'll be promoting it. I'll let everybody know when it comes out, because I'm sure. Yeah. I think when they start sending them out is when people are going to start being able to buy them. So might even be able to pre-order it now. So maybe I'll look into that.
I think you can, because I think I saw something. I think I saw something on their Facebook saying that they did that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Book It looks like a fun party game that even if you're not into wrestling, that it will be a good time.
Yeah.
And it's definitely something I'm going to use to play a board game with non-wrestling fans who like board games. So, hopefully it'll be their gateway drug into professional wrestling, and not an actual gateway drug. So I hope they don't get hooked on coke from playing a board game.
Long nights of playing board games. Sometimes you need a little extra.
Yeah, you need that. You need that to get through. When you only got 2 sheep and 3 rock.
Sheepdom.
Yeah, that's a Catan joke for those playing the home game. But, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, we will end it there. Oh man, thank you everyone for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will catch you guys next week. Have a good one, guys. Later.
When are we going to start our YouTube dynasty?